What is going on, everyone? Welcome to our official NFL playoff preview show at 2-minute warning.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
All right, welcome. I know we had our Week 18 picks last week. We were pretty much. Were we right? I mean, you were right about the Raiders winning.
I was right about the Raiders.
I mean,
we both
we were almost both wrong. If anyone saw that game. But yeah, so now the playoff bracket is officially set, and we're gonna preview it here for you on 2-minute warning. We're gonna give you our picks. We're gonna give you what we think the Super Bowl is gonna be. Yeah. We're gonna give you, all of the, especially the first round. We have a lot of picks today, but before we do all that official stuff, we're gonna do our delusional bracket here at 2-minute warning. So me and Tommy are going to have our own delusional bracket. So we're going to have our picks or our picks on who we want to see win, but maybe, not realistically winning and making it to the Super Bowl, So we're going to start off with Tommy.
All right.
We're going to do, we don't have to do 2 minutes. Just give me your delusional bracket here. So Go ahead.
Let me start off with the AFC. The first matchup is Raiders Bengals, and in my delusional bracket, I'm gonna have the Raiders win that one. Okay. I think Derek Carr has a long time coming first playoff game. I think he deserves to get a playoff win in there too. I think second round or the next AFC game is Bills Patriots. I don't want to see the Patriots move on at all, so I'm gonna go Bills there. Then it's Chiefs Steelers. In my delusional bracket, I still don't want to see the Steelers move on, so I'm going to go Chiefs on that one too. And then, so that would leave to the Titans playing the Raiders, and then the Chiefs playing the Bills in the divisional round. I would pick the Raiders over the Titans, and then I would pick the Bills over the Chiefs to see Bills versus Raiders in the AFC Championship game. And in my delusional bracket, I would want the Raiders to move on all the way to the Super Bowl, where they will win the Super Bowl as well against whoever is in the NFC, which I think I want the Eagles to beat the Bucs, the Niners to beat the Cowboys, the Cardinals to beat the Rams. Then I'd like to see the 49ers beat the Packers, the Cardinals beat the Bucs, and then the Niners to move on to the Super Bowl and face the Raiders, but the Raiders end up winning.
I like this delusional playoff bracket here.
For any Bay Area sports fan, even though the Raiders are in Vegas, there's still a lot of fans in the Bay Area. That would be a super cool.
That is very true. So you said, so it is going to be whoever wins the Raiders-Bengals matchup playing the Titans, or is it whoever wins the Steelers-Chiefs matchup?
Well, how it works is the lowest seed.
The lower seed, right? Yeah.
Lower seed always moves on and plays the highest seed.
Got it. All right. So now Tommy, with his delusional bracket, has the Raiders winning the Super Bowl against the Niners in a friendly Bay Area matchup, we can call it.
You can do air quotes on that.
All right. Now on to my delusional bracket. Starting off with the Raiders-Bengals. I'm going to pick the Bengals here just because I'm going to preface saying that the Bengals are going all the way for me to the Super Bowl, just to preface that. All right, and then we have Patriots-Bills. I'm going to have the Bills winning that one as well. And then we're going to have Chiefs-Steelers, again, Chiefs. So then Titans versus Bengals, and then Bills versus Chiefs, right? So then we have, like I said, I already spoiled my AFC side. So we're going to have the Bengals winning over the Titans. We're going to have the Bills winning over the Chiefs. And in the AFC Championship game, we're going to have the Bengals defeating the Bills.
Right.
Could happen. But, so we're going to have the Bengals in the Super Bowl for that. And in the NFC bracket, Rams versus Cardinals, we're going to have the Rams winning that one. 49ers versus Cowboys, we're going to have the 49ers winning that one. And then Eagles, Bucs, we're going to have the Eagles winning that one, just in my delusional picks, right? And then that means we're going to have the Packers and the Rams, right? or the
No,
Niners?
Packers Eagles.
Packers Eagles. Yeah. Okay, so Packers Eagles and then Niners Rams. So we're gonna have the Niners winning that one, and then we're gonna have the Packers winning against the Eagles, and then we're gonna have the Niners versus the Packers in the NFC Championship game, which we're gonna have the Niners coming out of that.
Wow.
And then so we're gonna have a Niners Bengals Super Bowl. And honestly, I don't know who to pick between those two. I'm just gonna say the Niners, just because. But either way, I would be happy with either of those teams winning the Super Bowl. I'd be happy with that Super Bowl. So
what you're
there.
saying is that Raiders Bengals game is like so important to both of us because either way, that
team's
in the AFC Championship game.
I would say that that's like one of my most important games coming up, and we like when we preview that later, I could spend all day talking about that game because I'm very excited about that. So, Raiders Bengals.
It's a good first game of the playoffs too. It's a big one
for that game. Yeah. All right. So now let's move on to our actual bracket, where it's probably gonna have like the Chiefs in there somewhere or whatever. But again, Tommy, go first. Give us your actual playoff bracket here.
Is it a problem that my delusional bracket is pretty similar to
my
one? At least
you'll see mine. I mean, mine's pretty similar too.
I'll again start in the AFC. I still have the Raiders beating the Bengals. I like the Bengals and I like the Raiders, and I'm gonna go Raiders here. Raiders won a lot of close games recently and in the beginning of the season, so I'm gonna go with them. Bills Patriots. I like the Bills to win that one too. I think the Bills are trending in the right direction where the Patriots have not been finishing off the season. And then Chiefs Steelers, no one's given the Steelers a shot, and I don't either. Chiefs are going to win that one pretty easily. And then to move on to the second round, it would be Titans, Raiders, and then Chiefs Bills. I still got the Bills beating the Chiefs. I don't see the Chiefs really being the powerhouse this year, and I think the Bills are just like they started the season as the best team in the AFC, and they were finishing the season as one of the top teams in the AFC. And I think that they keep that trend into the playoffs. I'm going to pick the Titans over the Raiders right now because with the idea that Derrick Henry is going to be back for the playoffs, if he's not, then my prediction would change there. So I can't predict if he's going to be healthy or not for that game, but I'm going to pick the Titans for now. But in the AFC Championship game, it's going to be the Bills beating the Titans. I like the Bills a lot this year. I think they're going to move on to the Super Bowl, where they will play the winner of the NFC, which I'll get to. Buccaneers versus the Eagles. The Buccaneers are going to win that one. Sorry, Eagles fans. It's just a bad matchup for you.
It should be a decent game, though.
It will be a decent game.
When we talk about it later, I mean, should be a decent game.
But Niners Cowboys. I like the Niners in that one. I just like the way they've been trending too late in the season. Rams Cardinals. I'm gonna go with the Cardinals in this one, even though they're on the road. I don't really know. There's no logic in this pick. It's just me saying that the Cardinals are gonna win that game because everything points towards the Rams winning that one, but I'm gonna pick the Cardinals. And then in the divisional round, Packers, Niners, I'm still going to pick the Packers over the Niners, even though that's probably the toughest matchup the Packers are going to have in the NFC playoffs besides the Buccaneers. And then the Buccaneers will beat the Cardinals. And then so a rematch of the NFC title game, Packers, Buccaneers, but this time the Packers break the streak and they actually move on to the Super Bowl. But Josh Allen and the Bills will beat them in the Super Bowl. I got the Bills winning it all, their first Super Bowl in franchise history.
Okay. Before I say anything, I'll just go to my bracket. Okay, so we got Raiders, Bengals. I have the Raiders winning that one. But here's the thing. If the Bengals win that matchup, I won't be mad at all because I do want to see Joe Burrow succeed. I do want to see Jamar Chase succeed, Joe Mixon of all people. Like, that's a team that I want to see succeed. But like you said, the Raiders have won a lot of close games this season, and I feel like they know how to win those games. Like, it doesn't matter. They showed us with the Chargers game, they know how to win. Like, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So I do have the Raiders winning that one. But if I'm wrong, just swap them with the Bengals. Either way, it's like, the next round is what matters anyway. So yeah, I have the Raiders for that one. Patriots, Bills. I also have the Bills because I think that it's gonna be this game, we can talk about it later, but it's gonna be pretty similar to when the Patriots were in Orchard Park in Monday Night Football, where it was like really bad weather and it was like Mac Jones had 3 pass attempts and it was like, it's gonna be the same game, but it's not gonna be the same win for the Patriots. I think the Bills defense is gonna step up it's like I don't think it's going to be like a repeat of that. So I have the Bills winning that one, but it should be a close game if it is bad weather. Right now, I heard that it's supposed to be like 5 degrees, so we'll see. Chiefs, Steelers, I really like. No one's picking the Steelers here, so we're going to pick the Chiefs. All right, and then the next round, Titans, Raiders versus Bills, Chiefs. All right, we're going to start with Titans, Raiders. I think that the Titans are going to win that one. Unfortunately, I'm not the biggest Titans fan, but like you said, if Derrick Henry is going to be back for the playoffs, I don't think the Raiders have the run defense for that. I don't think. I just don't know what the Raiders have past the first round if they do win. And if you put the Bengals in their place, same thing. I don't think the Bengals can stop a Derrick Henry offense either. So we're gonna have the Titans winning that one. Bills, Chiefs, which was a hard pick for me, but I'm also gonna go Bills here, just because I think that the Bills are looking really good this year. I mean, we say that every year the past 3 years, but I'm gonna stick with it and say that this is the Bills' year. So we have Bills, Titans in the AFC Championship game, and we're also gonna have the Bills making it to the Super Bowl. Look at that. A lot of similarities in our bracket so far. It's pretty much the same. Now moving on to the NFC side. I swear, guys, I'm not copying Tommy. We're going to have the Cardinals, Rams. I also have the Cardinals winning that one. Just because I think that the Rams have this sort of confidence when they play the Cardinals that doesn't translate into the playoffs. That's just my thinking into it. And, Kyler Murray, first time in the playoffs. There's a lot of things that could go right for this Cardinals team. So I have them winning that matchup. Niners, Cowboys. I also have the Niners winning that one. I think that besides Raiders, Bengals, that's the most exciting playoff game in the first round. That's something that I really, really want to watch. I will clear up my schedule to watch that Niners Cowboys game. If the Cowboys win again, no hate to them, but I do have the Niners winning that one. Eagles, Bucs. I mean, give us a good game, but the Bucs should win that one. And then the next round we have Packers, Niners, right?
Yes.
Packers, Niners, and then Cardinals, Bucs. So we're gonna start with Packers and Niners. Here's the thing. That's a matchup that I think everyone, every NFL fan wants to see, just because those are I don't know, the LaFleur and Shanahan matchup is very, it's sold a lot. It's people I don't know, every time I see that, it's cool. But I do have the Packers winning that one. I think that the Packers have this energy this year that's the same. It's the same energy with the Bills. It's their year. So we're going to have them making the NFC Championship game where they're going to play the Cardinals.
Oh,
here's
the first difference.
This is the first difference in our bracket. And this is because I don't trust, and I'm going to regret saying this, I don't trust Mike Evans as the only option, right?
Okay.
There's other options. There's Gronk, right? Leonard Fournette might be back. There's other options, but in terms of receivers, Chris Godwin's out, right? Mike Evans is a very talented receiver, but I don't trust him as the only option. I'm gonna regret saying that because never doubt Tom Brady, but I will have the Cardinals winning that one because I think that if they do beat the Rams in the first round, they can go all the way if they wanted to. But like I said, Packers, Cardinals in the NFC Championship game. I have the Packers winning that one. So we have the same Super Bowl.
Same Super Bowl.
Same Super Bowl. Bills Packers, right? Seems pretty realistic. So the question is, am I gonna go same route as Tommy and pick the Bills? Yes, I am gonna pick the Bills in the Super Bowl. I think that no knack to the Packers. I don't think like the Packers are gonna like choke in the Super Bowl or anything. But I just think that the Bills, if they do make the Super Bowl, that they have to go all the way. They have to go all the way. So yes, I mean, there's our brackets, guys. I mean, we had one difference.
And that was just the Cardinals Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that would be the difference?
Who would have thought that would be? I mean, that would be an exciting game. I never pick against Tom Brady, but for that game, I did want to see the Cardinals win that game. So, but in the end, Packers, Bills, Super Bowl, Bills coming out on top. That is the 2-minute warning prediction. All right.
I think that's a good matchup too for the NFL. You got Aaron Rodgers versus Josh Allen.
Oh yeah.
I mean, two teams, even though the Packers won in 2010, it feels like they haven't won in a while and the Bills have never won. Like that, it's just an exciting potential that almost happened last year.
I think that people have been waiting for that matchup. Like I feel like people are sick of the Chiefs. People are sick of Tom Brady.
Yep.
Like, give us something else, right? And that's the best thing that could happen. So, all right, moving on to the next part. Tommy, I'll have you take this one over.
All right, so we're gonna have on ESPN. There is a pick'em challenge for the NFL playoffs, and we were gonna do the first 15 questions, and we're gonna share with you our answers for the wild card round. It'll be 15 different questions. You kind of make your prediction, and then afterwards we'll have our overall records for each round, and we'll see who wins at the very end. So you want to answer first? I'll ask you the questions.
Do you want to do do you want to do like 2 minutes each question, or what do you want to do for this?
Let's do 2 minutes each question.
Okay.
I like it.
Okay. So I'll do the timer. Once you start the question, I will start the timer, and you can both answer.
All right. Question number 1. Who will win this matchup? Raiders versus the Bengals. I'll start with you, Theo.
So we covered this slightly. We both picked the Raiders here, and I think that it would, like I said, it would be a really good game to watch. Like I already emphasized the fact that the Raiders have won such close games this year, that if this were to come down to a close game, which all signs point towards it, like, I mean, I don't think the Bengals have what it takes to blow out the Raiders, but if they do, like, go right on ahead. I would love to see that. But if this does come to a close game, the Raiders have the advantage here. So I have the Raiders.
I think after kind of watching the Bengals clinch the division and seeing other teams celebrate after the playoffs, one team that I didn't see celebrate that much was the Raiders. And Derek Carr pointed out that like the job's not finished yet, even though they haven't made the playoffs in forever. He's never played in a playoff game. He's still determined to not only make the playoffs, but to win it all, I'm pretty sure. Like he is not okay with just winning one playoff game or just getting into the playoffs. So I think that determination for the Raiders is what's going to carry him through this game. And it's why I like him a little better than the Bengals. But I mean, Joe Burrow's a winner too. You saw him at LSU. I mean, he won literally every game in his senior season. So it's tough to root against or to pick not the Bengals and pick the Raiders here. But I think that the Raiders' clutchness at the end is what's going to pull them through in this one.
In like a delusional world, I would have the Bengals like going all the way to the Super Bowl, just because they like that's the energy that they've presented this year, right? Like no one saw the Bengals coming out of the gate and just like, dominating the season. But, it's like they haven't proven anything. They haven't like proved anything that says, oh, we're like a playoff winning team. Neither have the Raiders, but you have to say that they have that, like, they have the look of a playoff team. Like they've gone through so much this year, but I still do think that the Raiders have that, like, hunger for the playoffs that the Bengals might lack because of their young core. So next question.
All right, next question. This is a battle of quarterbacks. the two quarterbacks in the first wild card matchup. Who will record more passing yards, Theo? Derek Carr or Joe Burrow?
I'm going to have to go with Derek Carr here, not because I have the Raiders winning, but because in the Week 11 matchup between the Raiders and the Bengals, which the Bengals won, Joe Burrow only threw like 190 something yards. Like that, I think that was his lowest passing yard game in the season, which I don't know if that's like a credit to the Raiders defense, which isn't really like the greatest defense, right? But I also think that Derek Carr being like, you know how like you see like the passing yards leaders every week on the NFL Instagram, and you just see like Derek Carr on there, and everyone's like, why is Derek Carr on here? It's because Derek Carr knows how to pass. That's the thing. Like, I think that's just like the answer to that. So I have Derek Carr.
I think I'm gonna go. I like your pick because I think Derek Carr is gonna have a good playoff game as debut. But I'm gonna pick Joe Burrow here just because that game that you talked about, that was just like Mixon running the ball down the Raiders' throat, and I really don't see the Bengals winning again like that. And I think it's gonna come down to like a shootout, and I think that Joe Burrow is going to have more yards because he has more deep threats like a Jamar Chase than the Raiders. But that, I mean, just having more yards doesn't mean they're going to win the game. But I do think Burrow, in terms of passing yards, he is going to hit his connection, Jamar Chase, for a couple like big plays, I'm guessing.
Cool. And is that 2 minutes? It's 20 seconds left. So, I mean, I think that we both have good points. Like either one could have more yards here, but I don't think that that certainly means that whoever has the most yards wins the game, right? Like there's a lot that goes into this game. Like if the Raiders can have Josh Jacobs going, or like if Joe Burrow passes like at least two receiving touchdowns, like there's a lot that goes in. So. Good picks. Next question.
Which of these players will score the most touchdowns in the wild card round? Will it be Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, Josh Jacobs, or Damian Harris?
All right. My answer is one that is probably not expected, and that's Damian Harris.
Oh.
I would have originally picked Stephon Diggs here if it's a big if the Bills were actually passing a lot this game, which I don't think is going to happen because, like I brought up, the weather, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think there's going to be a lot of pass attempts. I think there's going to be definitely more than the last time. But in terms of, like, touchdowns, right, I think Damian Harris, just because, like, once the Patriots get to the red zone, their answer is Damian Harris, right? They're not, like, I don't think Bill Belichick is going to be like, Matt, throw the ball, right? I think he's going to go with the guy he trusts in Damian Harris, and I think that I'll give him at least 2 touchdowns, maybe more. I just don't see, like, I mean, I see Jamar Chase, like, winning this, but I'm going to have to go with, like, my dark horse pick in Damian Harris.
I like that pick. I like how you said 2 touchdowns, too, because I think a lot of these guys probably will have 1 touchdown, but you got to pick who's going to get multiple touchdowns. Mm-hmm. And I think if we're looking at these guys, I think Jamar Chase has the best chance of getting 2 touchdowns because he's Joe Burrow's number 1 target. And I think that's because Stephon Diggs is Josh Allen's number 1 target, but they haven't had the connection like they did last year. And Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow have had that connection this year. So I think that when I'm going with that, I think it's almost a guarantee that he's going to get 1 touchdown. And I think it's more likely that he could potentially get 2. But I like your Damian Harris pick is in a game that's probably going to be dominated with the run. He's probably the better running back in the group, and the Patriots have a good run game formula. So I do like that pick.
Yeah. And I mean, if Josh Allen decides to throw this game, Stephon Diggs has the potential, but you have to go with the safe pick here, which either is Jamar Chase or Damian Harris. Like Josh Jacobs, a little iffy about that one. I don't know. I think this is going to be more of Derek Carr's game than Josh Jacobs' game. So, yeah. All right. Next question.
Next one. Do we want to combine 2 questions into one? Because
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is going to be about the Bills versus Patriots, which we already talked about. We both said the Bills were going to win. But let's talk about, will Josh Allen record 250 plus passing yards and 50 plus rushing yards? Yes or no?
I think that that's going to be a hard no. Simply because, again, we're going to bring up the fact that I think this is going to be a run game. This is going to be a run-dominated game. So the 50-plus rushing yards is more possible to me than the 250-plus passing yards, right? Like, ballpark it, I say Josh Allen gets like 120, right? Like, he gets like those short passes, which end up like gaining them at least 20 yards. I think that's like the most you're going to get out of like a Josh Allen throw, which I might be wrong, but I think that Mother Nature says otherwise. And with the weather in that game, I don't think it's going to be a big passing game. So
I think rarely when you get into the playoffs, you see a quarterback truly dominate a game with like numbers like he's not only dominating in the pass game, but also the run game. So I think if they would have went with like 200 passing yards, it might have been a little more reasonable and you would maybe consider a yes, but 250 and 50, that's tough because rarely do we see that in the regular season. We see a guy have dominated a game both ways. But Allen is the one quarterback I think in the playoffs that could pull off a game like that. Mm-hmm. So you can't count him out, but it's just going to be tough with the weather, like you said, Theo.
All right, so with 20 seconds left here, Tommy, I have a question for you about this game. What do the Patriots have to pull out of the bag in order for them to pull an upset and win this game? I mean, we both picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl, but there is a chance that the Patriots could win this game. And what do they have to do in order for that to happen?
They have Damian Harris has to have a huge game on the ground, and then their defense just has to like destroy Josh Allen. If they can get to him and make it a tough game for him where he can't just run all over the field and make plays, like I think the Patriots could easily pull this game out, but they have to dominate both in the run game and on defense for it to happen.
So I have a stat here, right? So the 2 minutes is up, but I have a stat here that so the Bills' rush defense this season in wins allowed 85.7 rush yards per game. 85.7, right? In losses, the Bills' rush defense allowed 153.8 rush yards per game. Wow. Right? Yards per rush in wins, 3.8. Yards per rush in losses, 4.8. Rush touchdowns in wins, 8. And rush touchdowns in losses, 11.
Oof.
So going back to that Patriots win at Buffalo, we have to see that has to be like the biggest, like the another collapse by the Bills rush defense. Like I said, 153.8 rush yards per game in losses. That's something that, I mean, they figured it out. I mean, 85.7, like the complete opposite, right? Like they know how to defend the rush, but they have to look back. They have to like go full on film study from that game and see what went wrong, right? How do they stop that rush? How do they like stop Mac Jones only throwing 3 pass attempts and the Patriots still winning, right? Yeah. I think that there's a lot going in the Bills' favor here, but another rush defense collapse could mean an early exit for the Bills. So
that was
very, very scary thought.
It for our picks, yes, it is.
Very scary thought. All right, next question.
All right. And this is another combined one. We both said the Buccaneers, even though we don't want to see it, they will win. They most likely will win their first round matchup against the Eagles. But the question I have is, Tom Brady, does he get over or under 2.5 passing touchdowns?
I think that's an easy over. Not easy, but like, you know, I think that's something that has to happen. If Leonard Fournette's not playing, right? I think that this is going to be another Tom Brady dominated game. I think the only way, the small way that the Eagles win this game is if they just run it down Bucs' throats and just, that's the only way. Like, I don't think this is going to be like a big Jalen Hurts passing game. Like, it's going to be a lot of, like, that's the Eagles' specialty, right? Like the run, right? But I think that in terms of Tom Brady passing, I think that's what this game is going to be. I don't care who it's to. Like, he's going to get his over 2.5 passing touchdowns.
Another crazy stat I have for you is the Eagles have not beaten a playoff team this year or a team that's over 500 at all this year. So I don't trust the Eagles defense to really like come in here and stop Tom Brady from passing the football. And two and a half touchdowns, like he's going to get 3. Like that's like a safe number for him. He's going to get 3 touchdowns. I can almost guarantee that he'll get exactly 3, but I could see 4. But it's just one of those games where the Eagles don't have that great of a defense to stop Tom Brady. So it's going to come down to like Jalen Hurts having a monster game for them to even have a chance to win.
Which like sucks, right? Because think about it. The Eagles and the Saints had finished with the same record, right? So if the Bucs ended up playing the Saints, that would have been a scary game for the Bucs, right? Yeah. Like they lost twice to the Saints this year. I mean, the same thing happened last year, and they just like you saw what happened in the playoffs there. But that would have been like a nice like rematch to watch. But like a Bucs Eagles playoff game is like not the most exciting thing in the world. Like I said, the only thing that could make that game exciting is if the Eagles just like countered Tom Brady's scoring with the run, right? It's not going to be like a defense game. It's either going to be like the Eagles keep countering Tom Brady with the scores or just the Bucs dominate the game.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next question, which is which of these players will record the most receiving yards in the wild card round? Will it be Mike Evans of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, CeeDee Lamb of the Cowboys, Deebo Samuel of the 49ers, or Devontae Smith of the Eagles? Theo, let's start with you.
All right, so I think that the obvious pick here is Deebo Samuel, right? Like I could go with the obvious pick here, but I think I'm going to go with Mike Evans just because he's like the only option. He's not the only option, right? But like with Chris Godwin being out, I think that Mike Evans attracts the ball, right? So I think that in terms of receiving yards, it's going to be Mike Evans. In terms of overall yards, maybe it'll be Deebo. Like not even maybe, like it'll be Deebo. Like if the Niners continue to use him as a running back, it's going to be Deebo Samuel. But in terms of receiving yards, I am going to have to go with Mike Evans.
Okay. I thought you were going to go with CeeDee Lamb when you said you weren't going to go with Deebo, because I think CeeDee's an interesting pick here because he is the number one option on the Cowboys. And I think the weakness of the 49ers is their
yes, it's pretty bad.
So CeeDee getting a big receiving game could definitely happen, but I went with the obvious pick, Deebo, just because he clearly was the best receiver out of these 4 this year. And the 49ers, like he is their go-to guy, like you said, in the rush game and in the receiving game. So I think him having a big game is what the Niners need in order to win. And I just don't see the Cowboys even stopping him because their defense is okay, but like they don't have a guy who can stop Deebo.
Like this isn't going to be marketed as a CeeDee Lamb versus Deebo Samuel game, right? Like it's going to be a Deebo Samuel versus the Cowboys game.
Yeah.
Like that's what it's being seen as. So like, I mean, you have a good point with CeeDee Lamb being the number one option, but also, right, Dak has a lot of options. Mm-hmm. With having a number one option, he also has a lot of options. But in terms of the Niners only having Deebo and the Bucs only having Mike Evans, that's going to be like, I feel like those two are more my picks.
Okay. All right. Speaking of Niners Cowboys, we both said that the 49ers will win that matchup, even though I think that game is going to be really close. Mm-hmm. But this question is, will the game be tied at any point in the fourth quarter? This is an interesting question.
All right. So my thing with this is I expected the Rams 49ers week 18 game to be close, which it was after the second half, right? So it's like, what do the 49ers have for that to not happen? For them to like not count on just coming out of the first half or coming out of halftime being all like, you know what, we're gonna decide to run this, right? I think this, for the 49ers to win this game, it has to be a full game, like a full, like, either rush dominated game or a pass dominated game. But I think that in terms of being a close game, there's a big chance that happens. So my answer to that is yes. I think the game would be tied in the fourth quarter. I don't know, like, if it's because the Niners decide to pull a comeback or if it's just like a whole shootout between the two teams. But I think it's a good bet to say that it would be tied in the fourth quarter.
I think when you think of Niners Cowboys, you think of one of the most historic rivalries in playoff history in the NFL. And these two teams haven't faced off in the playoffs since the NFC Championship game in '94, I believe. So it's been a long time coming to see these two teams, and to not see like a close battle in Jerry's world, it'd be crazy not to see that. So that's why I also went with they will have a tie in the fourth quarter at some point. I think this game, I don't think it's going to be like this, oh, there's a tie at the very end, it's close and someone's going to win. I think the tie will be early in the game. Someone will have like that either touchdown or field goal, and then they'll like split apart after that. But like betting against a tie in the fourth quarter in a game that could be this close is pretty hard to do.
True. All right.
All right. Next up is the Chiefs Steelers. The question is who will win, and we both said the Chiefs. And then the other question was who will record more receptions, Diontae Johnson or Travis Kelce?
So you would think I'd go Kelce, right?
I would go Kelce too.
I'm going Johnson. Here's why. The Chiefs are going to win this game, right? But the Steelers, chipping away with what they have left of Big Ben, those 5-yard passes will help the numbers here. And the question is, who will record more receptions, not more receiving yards? So that 5-yard dump off to Diontae Johnson, could be a very common theme in this game for Big Ben. So this might be like a flawed argument, but I do have Diontae Johnson having more receptions in this game.
No, it's crazy. I totally agree with you on your logic. The Chiefs are going to blow out the Steelers, and so the Steelers are obviously going to have to throw the ball to come back. And who's their number one guy? It's Diontae Johnson.
They're not gonna do like a 20-yard pass to Johnson.
No,
it's gonna be the dump offs. Like that's the Steelers game, dude.
Diontae's one of the most targeted receivers in the league because Big Ben's his quarterback.
Exactly.
And he's a very good receiver too. I think Kelce hasn't had like the monster season like he's had before. So I don't think he's gonna have like that 10 reception game where it's like, oh my goodness, Travis Kelce's the difference maker. But he obviously could. But I think Johnson is in a better situation to have more receptions and to help out his numbers, just because the Chiefs are obviously the better team.
So here's a factor that could majorly contribute to this pick'em, is that I saw today that Tyreek Hill was a limited participant at practice. Ooh. So he did have that heel injury in week 18 that, like prevented him from scoring me fantasy points. But I think that I don't think Tyreek Hill's going to miss this game, but in the off chance that he does, I'm just like going to quickly change this pick to Travis Kelce. But for now, I think that the argument for Diontae Johnson is very strong, actually. So I have to go with that one. All right, next question. Oh, this one's fun.
Next one's about the quarterback.
This one's fun.
Yeah, which I feel like we're going to have different answers, but with the way it's been going, we might have the same here. The question is, which player or which quarterback will record the most passing touchdowns this round? My pick was Deebo Samuel, obviously, because he knew everything. I'm kidding. It's either Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford or Ben Roethlisberger. It says 1% picked Big Ben. I don't know why 1% of anyone would pick Big Ben in this scenario. But Theo, let's start with you. Who do you think is going to have more passing touchdowns in this round?
I'm the 1%. I'm kidding. I don't know your answer for this one, but my answer is Matthew Stafford. I think that the Rams have no other answer in this Cardinals game but Cooper Kupp. Like there might be like a passing touchdown to Van Jefferson in there or like to Tyler Higbee in there, but the ball's gonna go to Cooper Kupp, right? And unless the Arizona defense figures out how to lock down Cooper Kupp in this game, it's going to be Matthew Stafford with the most passing touchdowns. I don't know, because it's like this is going to be a close game in my opinion. So it could be Kyler Murray, but I just don't see that happening. I just this has to be I base my answer off of a receiver, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm going with Matthew Stafford.
No, I like the pick. My argument was Mahomes and the Chiefs have proven this year that they use the run game a lot more in the red zone, and they will score more touchdowns, I think, running the football than usual. And then Kyler Murray, the same thing with the Cardinals. James Conner is a touchdown hawk. He'll have multiple touchdowns. And then Kyler Murray himself will have multiple rushing touchdowns. And then Big Ben, the reason why no one's picking him is because,
they're not even going to get to the red zone.
No, they're not. Big Ben's, the more I think about it, if they're way behind, he could have a sneaky 3 touchdowns. But I think Stafford is going to I think he will get 3, maybe 4, like you said, because of.
I think there's a guaranteed 3 there for Matthew Stafford.
Just because the Rams' whole offense this year has really been their passing game because Cam Akers has been down. And even though he's back for the playoffs, which is another point we can talk about, but the pass game is what got the Rams to win the division. It's gotten them there. And Matthew Stafford is a really good quarterback. And I think he's going to display it in the playoffs, even though I do have the Cardinals winning that game. But it's going to be.
All right. That's an interesting question because I'm confident with my answer of saying Matthew Stafford, but I also think that it could go either way with Mahomes or Kyler Murray if he decides to throw. So
yeah,
just depends. But the obvious answer I think would be Stafford.
Mm-hmm. And then we both said Cardinals to win against the Rams. So the final question was an over-under, and it was Cooper Kupp, 99.5 receiving yards, over or under.
Okay, so what I'm insulted about here is that only 27% picked the Cardinals to win. And which I understand why. The Rams have proven to be a dominant team this season. But there's a big but there, right? There's a lot that could go wrong in the Rams game. And I'm not basing this off of their loss to the 49ers in week 18. I'm basing this on every loss they had this season, where Matthew Stafford showed his Detroit Lions roots and just played horrible, right? That could happen in the playoff game. I don't think it's been proven that Matthew Stafford with the Rams is a big playoff threat just yet. Same thing with the Cardinals, right? Where it's we don't know if Kyler Murray's a big threat, but Kyler Murray's been with this team for a while. This is Matthew Stafford's first season, right? So that's why I picked the Cardinals. But for the second question, in terms of over under 99.5 receiving yards by Cooper Kupp, I think that's an easy over. I think that, like I said, for the last question, I think that you can throw a passing touchdown to Van Jefferson in there. He always has one of those each game. But in terms of receiving yards, it's just going to be Cooper Kupp. I think that's what it's going to be, unless the Cardinals figure out a way to lock him down.
Yeah. I think I looked at the numbers. There's only 4 games this year where he was under 100 receiving yards. And of those 4, 3 of them, he had at least 95. So he's only had 1 game under like 95 receiving yards or 90 receiving yards. And it was like a 62-yard game. So the 99.5 over under, like it's easy to pick the over. And I think knowing that he is not only the number 1 option, but kind of the only option for the Rams, it's safe to say that he's going to have a 100-yard receiving game, especially with that connection with Matthew Stafford. Like there's no way you could bet against that with the season he's had.
Very true. All right. Now that caps off our ESPN 2-minute warning pick'em for the super wild card weekend, which I'm very excited about actually. Like there's a lot of good games in there. Like Bucs, Eagles, Chiefs, Steelers, so many good games.
How many?
And moving on to our last question. There's 5 quarterbacks playing their first playoff game, Tommy. Mm-hmm. Very, very exciting times for the NFL because it's not just all Mahomes anymore, even though he's still in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson's not in the playoffs, right? Think about that. It's not a Lamar Mahomes dominated season. That's crazy. When was the last time you saw that?
But yeah, continue.
So in terms of the 5 quarterbacks making their first playoff start, the question, Tommy, is I'll list off the 5. So we have Derek Carr,
mm-hmm.
we have Mac Jones,
mm-hmm.
we have Joey Burrow,
mm-hmm.
we have Kyler Murray, and then why am I forgetting the last one?
You're forgetting Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. See how like I just didn't remember that? Jalen Hurts. So out of those 5, Tommy, the question is, which one are you most excited to watch, and which one are you most confident in like pulling their team off for a playoff win? So 2 minutes starting now.
I don't think you're gonna agree with me on the most excited one, but I'm actually excited to see Mac Jones play quarterback in the playoffs because I think for Patriots fans, this is the guy who's supposed to take over the mantle for Tom Brady. So I think just him being a rookie and going right into the playoffs is something that I'm excited to see because he's the only rookie in his class to make the playoffs. So it's exciting to like have a rookie in a very meaningful playoff game against a division rival in Buffalo. It's going to be, I don't think he's going to play well, which is another reason why it's exciting. But if he does, then it's going to be a huge talking point. But the person that I think I'm most confident in is Derek Carr. I mean, he's the oldest of these guys. And even though the Raiders made the playoffs in 2016, he was injured right before, like, I think week 15, he got hurt. And so he couldn't play in the playoffs. And I think he's been extra motivated to not only get there, but to play well in the playoffs. So I think compared to those other guys, they're just a little too young for me to like be confident in them. But Derek Carr, like this is his moment to shine, I think.
Okay, so first of all, you are right. I do disagree with the Mac Jones take because I don't think anyone's excited to see Mac Jones besides Patriots fans.
It's exciting. It's an intriguing matchup. Maybe I should have said that. Intriguing.
Okay, sure. I'm just never picking Mac Jones to just, I don't know why. I don't know. It's just the Patriots for me. I actually do think that if like Mac Jones went to the Niners, I would have been like a full on like, yay, go Mac Jones. But I think it's the best thing that happened that he didn't go to the 49ers. I don't even care if Trey Lance hasn't started. I mean that Trey Lance hasn't like done a lot this year, but yeah, it's not Mac Jones. Anyway, that's time. But real quick, my most exciting quarterback for the playoffs is Joe Burrow. I think that, I don't know, I just like I said, that Raiders game is going to be very exciting, which brings me to my next answer. I think that Derek Carr does have what it takes to take this team to a playoff win. So I think that I'm going to pick Joe Burrow for the first question, Derek Carr for the second question. And side note, Kyler Murray just feels like he's already played a playoff game, so I don't even want to like count him in there. even though like I know he has it. It just feels like he has. It feels like he has the experience. I don't know why. I don't know why, but I would love to see what Kyler does. I want him to prove everyone wrong because this hasn't been like the best season for him. But I think that if the Cardinals do end up winning this game, it's going to be because of a Kyler Murray like game. So that might be like my answer for the second one, but I'm going to say Derek Carr.
All right. I actually have one more NFL question before we segue to the NBA. Because this year's Nickelodeon game is 49ers Cowboys, it's a very exciting game. And I just saw a post talking about how Mitchell Trubisky was last year's MVP, which is the Nickelodeon. I don't even know what the acronym stands for. Nickelodeon Valuable Player, I guess.
I don't think so. Something
MVP.
like.
But who?
Yeah.
But my question was, who do you think is going to be this year's MVP?
So, did you know that Nickelodeon has been doing MVPs for each week of the season?
Yes.
Right? So I think that the MVP for the wild card round will be the Week 18 MVP, which is Deebo Samuel.
Oh, all right.
I think that just in terms of that game, if Deebo Samuel ends up dominating that game, it's going to be like an easy MVP. Like, he can secure that in the back, right? Mm-hmm. But, right, if he doesn't, I think the MVP would go to Dak Prescott. I think that Dak Prescott has, like, the kids' support. I think that, I don't know, I like Dak Prescott. He's, like, one of the only things I like about the Cowboys. So, I think that if the Cowboys do end up winning that game, it's going to be Dak Prescott. If it's the Niners and Deebo Samuel dominates, it's going to be Deebo Samuel. Whew, MVP.
I think it's going to be Kyle Juszczyk because I think, think about it. Mitchell Trubisky won it last year.
It's going to be like a meme player.
I think I got to pick a meme player here. And I think Kyle Juszczyk, but even though like he's not a meme player, he's a very good
George Kittle, right? Like George Kittle has
one too. Yeah. But I think Kyle Juszczyk would be a very interesting MVP. And I think if the run game's doing what it's doing, and if he catches a couple passes, he catches a touchdown pass, he could be the MVP. You never know.
Honestly, I mean, to me, the Week 18 MVP for that Rams-Niners game was Kyle Juszczyk. He was a kick holder.
Mm-hmm.
He was a kick holder. Like, what can this man not do? He's like the Taysom Hill of the 49ers. Like,
yes.
Let him throw a ball.
Who knows? He might. Deebo threw one last week, so
that was maybe that's what earned him the MVP last week. I think Nickelodeon was just like, oh my god, this guy just threw like a touchdown. Yes, give him a trophy. So I'm excited to watch that. I remember watching that Saints Bears game on Nickelodeon. I was like switching over to Nickelodeon to watch that game, and it was a really fun game to watch.
Yeah. I think it's super cool just to kind of like get a different perspective on an NFL playoff game too. I wish there were more regular season stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, I don't think we have any more NFL news, playoff previews to do. So we're going to move on to the NBA. The NBA has just been like, I think it's like gone from a very chaotic month of December to like a very like chill January so far. I think we've been seeing a lot of cool games, but in terms of the Warriors, which is going to be our first topic of the day, Klay Thompson's back. Yay. Right? But I did touch on this a little bit last week. The Warriors have had like obvious recent struggles, which they're lucky to just have like 2-3 losses come out of it. But that's what I do want to talk about, Tommy. We're going to talk about the return of Klay and the Warriors' recent struggles for 2 minutes. Start with you and go ahead.
Watching Klay these first 2 games that he's played, I wish he could play more minutes. I just see there's an obvious like difference when he's on the court versus when he's off. And you saw it against the Grizzlies, his plus minus is like plus 22.
Playing like not much minutes,
but only playing 20 minutes. Like, he is a valuable asset to the Warriors. And in regards to the recent struggles, their last 2 games they didn't have Draymond, and they've had a lot of like COVID issues too in really the last month. So I think in terms of the struggles that with Klay and when Draymond finally comes back, it'll all kind of fit together. But like right now, it's just they can't shoot the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, so starting with the return of Klay Thompson, I mean, one thing that I did notice is that we're seeing like a different, more aggressive Klay Thompson. Like, I think you would say that the Klay Thompson that we used to see would just be like your regular catch and shoot, like shooting guard, right? Now we see Klay like taking it to the basket and like, you know, setting screens, pick and roll. Like he's the one rolling. Like it's crazy that to see that after 2 injuries, it just made him more aggressive, which right now looks like it's working, but I don't want to see it become like a full blown part of like his game where it's just like we see Klay Thompson being this like aggressive. I don't know why. Like I just don't want to see that. I think a part of me just wants to see Klay not get hurt doing that, but also a part of me wants to be like, maybe that he's just doing that because Draymond's gone right now. So that's just like the way that's going through my head. But yeah, in terms of the struggles, I think you are right. A big part of it is just because Draymond hasn't been playing. But like that Memphis game wasn't because of poor shooting. I think to me, it's just like it was because of turnovers, right? Like, I think that you're right. Like the Warriors do have to work on the shooting, which is like been a problem the past couple weeks. But the turnovers is what's been eating them up these losses. Like I feel like I don't know if it's Klay being back that like somehow like ruffled their minds on how it is to play as a team. But I think that give them 2 weeks and they should be fine. So
I agree with that. I think, and the turnovers, that's the Warriors' worst enemy is themselves when they turn the ball over.
Yeah. I like right now, the Warriors probably aren't the best team in the NBA anymore, right? Like just because of these recent like struggles. But like I said, give them 2 weeks, they'll be back to that mantle. So
yeah.
All right, next topic. Very excited to talk about this, even though I don't like watching this team play the Warriors, and it's the Grizzlies. We're gonna talk about the Grizzlies for 2 minutes, starting now. And my question, Tommy, is how much of this Grizzlies run, what have they won now? Like 11, 10 straight games?
10 in a row.
How much of this Grizzlies streak is on Ja Morant?
I would say as close as 100% as you can in a team sport. Like he has been one of the best players in the NBA throughout the season, really. I mean, he's currently second in All-Star voting, and I think there's no reason why he shouldn't be an All-Star starter this year. The guy's been incredible on a team that really doesn't have a second superstar. Like Jaren Jackson is very good, but he's not like that all-star superstar kind of second guy that teams like the Warriors obviously have with Klay and Draymond, with the Jazz, with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, and even the Suns with Devin Booker and Chris Paul. Like Ja Morant's doing it pretty much by himself, but the team is just so deep around him that even when he's off the floor, like you saw Tyus Jones against the Warriors put up like 12 threes, or I think 15 like points off threes. And I was like, I mean, that's the reason the Warriors are going to lose this game is because the bench is just playing out of their mind.
So here's what I think, right? Like, I completely agree with you with like the whole, like, this has been like a Ja Morant ran streak. But in terms of percentage, I'm gonna give him 80%. And that's because the 20% does go to their bench and does go to the rest of their players. The Grizzlies beat a Warriors team, a healthy Warriors team without Draymond Green, without Dillon Brooks, right?
Or Steven Adams.
Yeah,
I'll add that too.
I think that speaks wonders to how deep this Grizzlies team is, right? Like we Warriors fans like to talk about the depth of the Warriors this season, and I see the same thing with the Grizzlies, right? If they can have someone like Tyus Jones putting up that many points, it's like, what else do you really need from a team like that, right? Like, I think that the Grizzlies are a team you don't want to see in the playoffs this season, and I think that they're a team that could definitely go on a run, and they're a dangerous team.
Look, I just really hope that this team finishes in a position where the Warriors don't have to play them in the second round. Because if that's the case, then I'm really scared that the Warriors are going to be a second round exit this year. The Grizzlies are like, that's the toughest matchup for the Warriors this year. The Lakers, obviously, I'm not worried about. And even like the Suns, I think when the Warriors play to their strengths, they can beat them too, and the Jazz. But the Grizzlies, that's a tough team to play, even when the Warriors are fully healthy.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the next topic, which is actually very interesting. Kyrie Irving is back as well as Klay. But Kyrie Irving can only play road games. That's because he is an unvaccinated player playing for the Brooklyn Nets, who play in the state of New York, which have vaccine mandates, which don't allow him to play at home. So, he can only play on road games, which I think they have like 22 road games left, and he can only play in 19 of those as well, just because it's probably like at LA or like at places where he also can't play.
Mm-hmm.
But a recent post by, I don't know who, established the fact that Kyrie Irving can play home games if the Nets paid a $5,000 fine for each game, which is not a lot of money for a team. So my question, Tommy, is, should the Nets do this? 2 minutes starting now.
I think the Nets, they don't need to do it for every home game, obviously. There's some games where they can rest Kyrie and stuff. But I think come playoff time, it would be very dumb for them not to pay the fines and to have him play. Like, if there's a possibility that the Nets could have Kyrie Irving play home games in the postseason, then they have to do it. Because if they play the Knicks in a round, Kyrie wouldn't be able to play any game in that series. If they play the Warriors in the finals or the Lakers, he can't play at all in that series. Like, so for sure in the playoffs, they're going to do this. And I think there definitely will be some games this year where they pay the fine and say, we need Kyrie to play more with obviously Harden and Kevin Durant.
Okay, so here's my thing about this. How much of this is about principle, right? And I think I know the answer. None. And that's because the Nets established in the beginning of the season that it was established by the media that Kyrie can play road games in the beginning of the season. And the Nets stood by the fact that Kyrie Irving is not playing at all, right? Like, we remember that.
Yeah.
So tell me what occurred in their mind as the number 2 team in the East in the middle of December to say, you know what? We're going to change our minds and we're going to have Kyrie play road games because he can, right? So how much does that factor into them also saying, you know what? We're going to pay the fine. And I think it's going to happen because the Nets don't have solid ground on this, which like is an issue with me because it's like, what are you saying as a team? Like, it's like, yes, you're a competitor that wants to win games, right? But you're all like, you have to realize that Kyrie is like the pretty much the spokesperson for a lot of unvaccinated people, not just in the league, but also in the country, right? And if the Nets are saying that, yeah, there's a lot of loopholes, same thing goes for a lot of people in the country, right? It's a lot of saying like, yeah, there's a lot of loopholes. So I think in terms of like principle, the Nets don't have any, and that may be a problem with me, but it's not a problem with anyone else, I don't think, like in the league. So, I mean, good for them. They get Kyrie back, but that's saying a lot for them as a team. And I hope that like once the pandemic ends, people look back at this and, see like how the Nets just like flipped everything in the whole Kyrie situation, which I don't know. We'll see what happens in like 5 years when we all look back at this. If the Nets do make the finals, and there's a lot of things that go into it. So yeah.
I think they just kind of lost their leverage with the whole situation when they were like the number one team in the East. Because if they were like a bad team, I think they could have convinced Kyrie to like get the vaccine and like play because they needed him. But the Nets are the best team in the East. They don't need Kyrie. So they lost all their leverage to like get him vaccinated to play every game. So that's when they finally said, okay, we want him back, which is why they're going to have him play road games. I think that's kind of what happened because they know they don't need him. So he's more of a luxury instead of him being a necessity, which would have made him, I think, get the vaccine. But maybe he wouldn't have, and he just wouldn't have played. And
doesn't that just like, I mean, it pisses me off as an NBA fan. Like, you can't, I don't know, you're just like, just play whenever you want. It's like, I feel like it should be a consistent type of thing, right? Like, I don't know, is that just me?
No, that's me too. I think if you sign it, like just Ben Simmons right now too, and it's an entirely different issue. If you sign a contract, you got to play. James Harden still played, even though he did not want to play in Houston.
Exactly.
He still played, and he still tried to help his team out, and then he got traded. So Ben Simmons not playing right now is like the exact opposite of that, and that's what I don't like to see.
Yeah. All right.
And in the wrong direction.
And the final NBA, actually, this is not the final NBA topic. I have another one. But the next NBA topic we have is which Eastern Conference team needs to make a splash before the trade deadline? 2 minutes starting now.
Now you got to make me look up the Eastern Conference standings right now.
I just have like a simple answer, and that's the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay.
Right? They have a lot of young players that could be like, see, here's the thing. I'm not like familiar with the whole Cleveland system, but if they have a lot of young players, I think that a couple could be spared for like a good veteran, right? And I feel like that's what that Cavs team needs besides Kevin Love. I feel like it's like only Kevin Love that's like teaching these youngins how it's done, right? Like I think in terms of moves, the Sixers need to make a move. Like that's pretty obvious, right? But I'm done with that whole. I'm done talking about Ben Simmons. It's been how many episodes have we done where we just like,
let's just not even mention him.
I don't even want to talk about it. I think it's not relevant anymore. Like, I think people are done with the whole Ben Simmons thing. So, I mean, yeah, go put the Sixers in there, but I think that the Cavs are my team that needed to make that move.
Yeah, they need a veteran. Even though they have Kevin Love, if they can add like another quality veteran to round out like that rotation, that would really help them out come playoff time. But I'm gonna go with the Raptors. They need a center, and if they get a center, they're a pretty scary team to look out for in the Eastern Conference, I think, because even though Pascal Siakam can play center, they have so many wings on that team that they can play small ball. But if they have that big man that could go against a Joel Embiid or a Bam or a Vucevic or even like Giannis, if they can like have that guy that could protect the paint, that's a team that could make a little quiet run like the Hawks did last year. One of those surprise teams.
See, here's what I think, right? Like my dream center for the Raptors is a guy like Bobby Portis. Right. But I feel like that's something that would never happen because I think that Bobby Portis deserves to be in Milwaukee. But you're right. I think the Raptors do need a center. And I don't like in the beginning of the season, no one was like saying that the Raptors would be like a play-in contender. But now like it's very possible. So I think that a move could definitely like secure that for them. So
yeah.
All right. So this is on the list, but I wanted to ask you about this, which is going to be our last NBA topic for the day. What are your thoughts on the Sacramento Kings arena playing cold as ice last night? Every time Russell Westbrook missed a shot, I think Russell Westbrook went 2 for 14. I think that's what he went last night. And then like at the end of the game, they put a graphic up on the video board that said coldest player of the game, Russell Westbrook. 2 minutes on this, starting now. Go ahead.
I wish more teams would like be trolls like this. Like you have like the jumbo scron for a reason. Like, and you have like the audio stuff. You got to do stuff like this to give your team like a little advantage. It gets the fans excited. It gets like everyone more invested in the game. And it's not for the players, it's for the fans. And especially with the Kings team that's like kind of on the rise, but we still don't know yet. A team that is either going to be sellers at the trade deadline or buyers. We still don't know yet. I think it's a good thing to see them like have this motivation and to like play well against good teams, because I think
they won.
Yeah. Like them being the Lakers shows like the Lakers, if they're in the playing game, they easily could not make the playoffs.
Right? I think you're right. Like if a team like the Kings made the playing game, that's a scary team. Like I don't think anyone would call the Kings a scary team right now, but I think that is a scary team. And it's because of the fact that they're starting to build a culture, right? Like you wouldn't expect Sacramento to have like a basketball culture, but they're starting to build it. And I think that a big factor there is like De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton, but like that, like a team being a troll is like a big thing, to be honest. And like I didn't like another thing I didn't like is like what Russell Westbrook said about it. He said they should have done this for 14 years, and I'm like, is that like? I think that's like a cop out answer. Like, why would you say that? I mean, I get that you're throwing shade back, but just take it. Like, I mean, he laughed about it, which is great, but like,
I like Westbrook. I like his attitude towards like the game too. So I think this really doesn't faze him at all. But I definitely think for Laker fans who like watched all this, they are now way more upset and they want Westbrook out just because of like something like this. This is the little things that are going to implode the Lakers potentially.
Mm-hmm. All right. That does it with the NBA today. We're just going to do real quick on the MLB. We're already way over time here, but I think the MLB has a lot, but also not a lot going on at the same time right now. So we're going to do 2 minutes right now on the negotiations with the Player Association and the league. Today, there was the meeting today or something, talking about free agency and all that fun stuff. So 2 minutes on that starting now.
Yeah, I think the Players Association put out their like side of the argument, and then now it's a waiting game to when like the owners and the league are gonna like give their opinion. And this is something that potentially they're saying could delay spring training, and in the middle of a pandemic, this is not something you want to see out of like a professional sports franchise, like having to delay a season, not because of COVID and not because of like the world right now, but because you can't come to an agreement on something like this. I think it's just bad for the league, and it's bad for commissioner like Rob Manfred, who just like he's definitely the least liked commissioner in all of professional sports right now, and like this doesn't help his case at all.
I think that the league is like showing that they don't care about their players more and more. Like I feel like that's something that you don't want being known by fans publicly. Like I feel like this has been going on for a while, and it's just now coming to light to the fans' attention, where the league obviously do not care about their players, which I think that if that means delaying spring training, I'm all for it. Like if the players don't get what they deserve from the league, then go ahead, delay it all you want. Like, which is like, it's sad because like baseball is like, it's something that you watch in the summer. It's something you look forward to in the spring when spring training comes. And a lot of like people in Florida and Arizona look forward to going to spring training games. And now they can't because it's like it's the league's problem now. I don't think this is. I mean, obviously there's some blame that goes towards the players association as well, but based on what I've read, it's just like it's a lot of what the league is showing to the players, and I don't know. I don't think it's fair. So
yeah, I think the players are getting the short end of the stick, and they don't want that anymore. Because you look at other leagues like the NBA, like the players are protected in almost everything. The players are what make the league, and I think baseball, for the longest time, haven't realized that, and now like the players are understanding like that their personal brand is what carries not only their teams but the league itself, and so they're like coming out a lot more with like, hey, what about us? I think it's a good thing to see that.
all right, and our final MLB topic, we're just going to talk about the Hall of Fame announcement coming in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, players like Barry Bonds, I mean, there's a lot that goes into, I don't know the whole specifics behind the Hall of Fame, but we'll do 2 minutes. You can start, Tommy, because I want to hear what you have to say.
All right, well, because how the voting works is you have to get, I believe, 75% of the votes that come in. I might be wrong on that number, but I could have sworn it was 75. But whatever that number is, if a player gets that many votes on all the media's ballots, then they're in the Hall of Fame. If they don't, then they have to wait till next year and continue. For players like Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, and Curt Schilling, this is their final year they're eligible on the ballot. So if they don't make it this year, they will never make it. And I mean, you look at the numbers, all three of them have had Hall of Fame careers just based on numbers and like status alone. So for them, I think the league will finally, or like the voters will finally let them in. It seems like the numbers that have been pouring out already show that they will most likely make it. But if they don't, it becomes that question of, well, if they do get in, A-Rod's a player that's a first year on the ballot now. Is he going to have to wait 10 years, or are they just going to let him in too? And like other steroid users, is it going to be something they're going to have to wait a long time for anything else, or are they just going to be allowed right away after they kind of make this decision?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's weird because like for a player, I don't know. I feel like there's a case. There's a lot of cases for players that last that long. You could say that there's a case for them to make it and there's a case for them to not. But I don't know, like how much influence does their last year on the ballot have on the voters actually like trying to put them in, right? Like I think it's important that the voters take into account that there's legitimacy being questioned here. Like I feel like a lot of people question like why does it need to be 75%?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think Curt Schilling was at 71% last year, and like you have people thinking like, okay, so if 71% of voters think that he's in, and then what if he doesn't get voted in this year? Then he'll never be in, and they'll just be like, wait, he was at 71%, right? There's always like I feel like there's gonna be an asterisk there somewhere. So I guess we'll see in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think I forgot my point. It was something about, I'll just end it there. We'll end it on your point, Theo.
Yeah. I don't know, but I'm not I'm not very familiar with the Hall of Fame, but it's just like in a general sense, that's like I feel like that's like a good point to make.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll see how these NFL predictions happen. I mean, we'll see how they work maybe. Big weekend coming up. We have six games, 6 NFL wild card games for Super Wild Card Weekend. Be sure to tune in I don't know why we're advertising for the league right now because I want to watch these games. I mean,
we will watch this game, so you should too.
I'm even gonna watch the Eagles Bucs game. I'm even gonna watch the Steelers Chiefs game because who knows what happens, right? Like these could be crazy games right here. And I mean, me and Tommy can probably both say go Bills. That's our team moving forward.
Go Buffalo.
We'll see you soon. Probably before the Super Bowl. We'll reassess our picks. How right or how wrong they may be. But yeah, we'll see you guys next time here on 2 Minute Warning. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at 2minute_warning. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify or Anchor or any of the audio platforms, I don't know what you can do. You can like the podcast, actually. Yeah, leave a like on the podcast. Other than that, anything else, Tommy?
No, just listen and watch. Yeah, go Bills.
Go Bills.
I'll just say go Raiders.
Go Raiders. Go Packers. The Packers aren't even playing. Go Niners. Yeah, you know what?
Niners too.
Go Niners. Go Niners.
Yeah, for the Bay Area, let's end it.
Let's represent. Go Niners. All right. And that is it for 2 Minute Warning from Theo
and Tommy.
Peace out, y'all.
Peace.